Hello again, everybody. This is Dr. Mustafa Muhammad, and now we are lecture number 8. This is a digital business module, and I'm going to talk to you about something quite interesting, an extension for lecture 7. So I'm going to cover what is competitive advantage in the digital business era, and then we're going to talk about different business strategies, what we mean by strategies, how we can classify strategies with some examples. And then I'm going to talk to you about some models and theories, these sort of conceptual lenses that helps you understand how a business model works in a digital business. The first element is competitive advantage. Competitive advantage in digital business would have one of these three aims: either to automate your service, make it cheaper, faster, informing, or strategizing. So first, what we mean by competitive advantage. Competitive advantage refers to all sort of organizational factors, including humans and non-humans, that enable a firm to outperform other competitors in the same market. Statistically, the aims of achieve competitive advantage are increasing towards strategizing. So I'm going to talk to you about these first levels, these three levels from automating, informing, and strategizing. The value add from strategizing is far much higher. And if you remember in the first week when I spoken about different types of analytics and analytics software, these types of softwares would help you to build a foresight strategy, long-term strategy for your company based on data and information about customers, about suppliers, about other stakeholders. So let's talk one by one. In automating, if you can use your digital business platform or e-commerce website or app, do things faster, cheaper, more accurate, so you have precise processing of information, consistency. Clear examples of this in financial services, where, for example, I had this loan tracking software. If I recall my experience in Egypt, for example, I used to check microloans credit history. So any applicant would wait up to 3 to 4 months to get his credit rate checked if he's applying for a microloan. The processing of the application itself would take between 25 to 40 days. After developing a mobile tracking device and technology support process for loan tracking, now iScore service would take a maximum 20 days to get to know every detailed transactions that been done by any micro borrower, which means they cannot, as they used to have, apply for a microcredit and then move to another city and then to another city. An example of this, if you take Experian, for example, this is an ideal platform that you can go and check your credit score up to 999, or let's say like up to 1000, and it tells you what is the reason for your lower credit rate, what is the reason for a high credit rate, how you can clear your debt, and it tells you about different types of finances that you can apply for to enhance your credit rate. Such services will make things faster with the press of a button. Apple Bank. Apple Bank is the future of banking. So your Apple Pay platform would store everything that you do using your mobile phone. If you shop in a mobile app, if you shop in a website in your mobile phone, frankly, your purchasing behavior, your digital purchasing behavior is all recorded in your Apple payment. So Apple Bank would deliver the service where you can apply for a microloan or any investment contract in a press of a button, because they can get to know everything about your life and they can decide if you are credit worthy or not. So this is another example. If I recall my experience in United Arab Emirates, at the moment, this is for the last 2 years, I guess, they are trying to build a unified state bank. So they are gonna shut down all their public banks and will open one unified state bank to compete against Apple Bank, because they can see a big threat out there. Monzo is another example in fintech or financial services where we can automate money transfers. The current accounts are not really profitable for banks anymore. Monzo is this sort of bank that you can use to create an account in 15 minutes maximum. You audio or video record a statement clarifying who you are, selected statement that they give to you through this app. The app gives you the lowest exchange rate, currency exchange rate ever, so you can send the money to your home country if you are not in England, or to friends or families far away in a different country. You can even simply send them your Monzo card and they can use it as ATM card, like a credit card or debit card. So these sort of automating applications, they have their own threats in terms of privacy and confidentiality and hacking threats. So last year I had this sort of organized crime, people been targeting me in my mobile phone, and they acted that they work for the HMRC, and they picked up some mistakes and they fake a story, keep lying to you to get money out of your account. So please don't fall in these organized crimes. So nothing's free. Another source of competitive advantage for digital business is to do a sort of learning and informing service, how to do things better, which means you can learn about different processes, how long does it take, and the bottleneck and difficulties, and then you can learn about how to improve. You can support your organization by learning about other competitors, how they do things. You can benchmark. So the key element here is not really automating things, because you might do things faster but not with more effectiveness. So the first element, which is automation, is something to do with how to use digital business for efficiency. But this element of competitive advantage is how you use digital business for effectiveness, and you learn from other stakeholders around you, either competitors or others. Salesforce, for example, is one of these platforms that gives you detailed analytics about your e-commerce activities. It tells you how much you sell in this market segment, and compares between what you did and as others who outperformed you. It tells you things in details in terms of sales, customer relationship management, pricing, inventory management. It's a comprehensive system that helps you to learn about your own practices and the other people's practices. It doesn't help you to foresee the future and set a sort of prescriptive plans for the future. So this one is more sort of analytical tool that helps you to say why this happened. So what happened and why this happened. If you go to see this platform, Salesforce, it could be hosted in a mobile phone, in a tablet. It tells you what's going on in terms of where is the highest queue, where is the highest footpath. So if your visitors, if your customers are using more mobile phones or tablets or PCs or laptops, tells you even personalized profile. It helps you to build a personalized profile about your customers. Okay, so digital business analytics for informing business, and we mentioned this. Google Analytics is one of these famous informing business analytics. So it helps you to achieve competitive advantage in a sense. It tells you what is happening. It gives you a trend of what's going on in the market and your role of doing this. Some of you guys could kindly send me emails and ask it where to learn about Google Analytics. There are advanced courses that you can learn from our university. Actually, you might be able to find this. So if you are part of a program like digital marketing program, later on we have a master degree in digital marketing. You will learn much more about marketing and analytics and Google Analytics. Google itself deliver free training on essentials of Google Analytics and marketing analytics. You might be able to get free courses like this, and there are free courses in Coursera and Udemy and these other platforms, though they might not be certified. LinkedIn is one of these sources as well that you can use to learn more, but it depends on the level of certification and accreditation you're looking for. KISS matrix is one of these analytics that tells you who is doing it in the market, so who is the entrepreneur in each market segment. It helps you to increase customer acquisition and retention rates, so it tells you where you are good exactly in the market, which product and service gives you more advantage, and which products and services are almost a waste of time for you. Retention grid is another informing business analytics. It tells you what your customers want in different market segments. It provides you with very easy and colored coded graphs, so it doesn't need actually an expert to understand what's going on. But again, all these softwares, they don't tell you what you should do in the future. It tells you what happened and why it happened. So we've been through two types of competitive advantage. The first one is more about efficiency, which is automation. We had examples from financial services, Apple Bank, Monzo, and other examples. We had the second source of competitive advantage for digital business, which is informing and learning in your organization. You make your organization as a learning human being by learning about stakeholders, including your customers, competitors, suppliers, and buyers, and different humans in terms of informatics. And we've spoken about different analytical softwares that you can use to know about them. The third source of competitive advantage: how you do things to support the future. Build a strategy, a long-term plan. This is what we call strategy. So you do things better by doing creativity, superior customer service, achieving lower costs than rivals. All these things would come together as one piece. If you go back to our key elements of business modeling, can you really achieve a competitive advantage by innovative business model? If you can do this, this means you are strategizing your digital business. Now, two elements here, as I mentioned at the beginning, at the far beginning of lecture 7. Are we trying to build a smart platform that itself enable different business models and make strategy smart, or we build a strategy in a creative and innovative way, know better about customers, address their needs, test it, align, and then align the technology or build the technology that matches their needs? Which one comes first? This is an element here. If I'm going to talk to you about strategizing analytics, business analytics software, Metrello is one of these softwares that helps you to build a life cycle approach for each customer or each group of customers. It helps you to do retention analytics. It's mainly actionable analytics and tells you what you can do in the future in terms of how you serve your customers differently through an integrated CRM system, how you report to governmental agencies based on your performance, and other things. Clicky is another smart strategizing business analytics software. It offers the live and real-time analytics based on web information. Adobe Marketing Cloud is another one, though it's a bit a bit more expensive, but it helps strategizing mega e-commerce stores. So if you have a big store, which is, let's say, for example, Gymshark, many of you guys are excited to do research in the future or currently about this. Maybe you can use it in your infographic or so. If you want to do a sort of strategy for this digital business, you might need Adobe Marketing Cloud, for example. I mean, if you do a real business, but definitely for your infographic, it's just you draw a diagram, and you will get lots of supportive activities. This week you already have your seminars around the infographic. So now I'm going to talk to you about competitive advantage in another way. So we had these three elements of competitive advantage, but Nicholas Carr is one of these Harvard professors who argues that IT doesn't really matter. You can use IT to spend less, you build something to automate, you try to innovate, but what actually happens is other competitors can follow you quite easily and imitate what you deliver. This is the biggest risk of digital business, because things would come viral and people would know about your digital business platform and can copy it. The important thing is, instead of you deliver infrastructural competitive advantage using your software or using your platform, you better build something that cannot be copied, something like a virtual forefront. So if we compare between, for example, Android and Apple. Now, whatever you do, the operating system of Apple is there just operating system that works with iPhone. But Android is a virtual forefront, a massive infrastructure that works with different mobile phones, different devices, different tablets, different things. So whatever happens here, whatever the device is and the innovation in the product itself, Android would absorb all of this. Okay, so we frankly have two types of IT competitive advantage. Okay, infrastructural one and perpetual one, which is continuous, that overwhelms what's going on. Whatever happens, nobody can imitate it. Okay, so now we finished with the so-called competitive advantage, which is the first element of lecture number 8. Once we know what sort of competitive advantage, we then need to use this competitive advantage, whether one or two or three of them, to achieve a strategy. Other scholars like Friedman, he argues that the best strategy is no strategy actually, and the other way around. So instead of you use the competitive advantage to build a strategy, no, you build a strategy to achieve and invest on one or more of these competitive advantage. So the second element is going to be digital business strategies. What is a business strategy? Key types of digital business strategies with interesting examples from academia and my own experience as well. So frankly, a business strategy is a sort of business goal or objective for a long term. It's a plan to be achieved with specific smart milestones to overcome competitors, to cooperate with other actors and stakeholders in the market. So it's a well-articulated vision of where the business seeks to go and how it is expected to get there, to achieve this mission out there. Examples of business strategies: low-cost leadership. So think of, for example, if we don't think about digital business, if it is a physical business, what is the cheapest? Once we say Primark, so our perception here is it's the cheapest, clothes and fashion and outfits shop in UK, in the United Kingdom, because it produces things with the most affordable price ever, less than any other competitor. As the price, whatever you do when you deliver a digital business, if you deliver a product or service which is cheaper than the others, and you just focus on cost leadership, you have low cost leadership. Ryanair, Airbnb, different platforms at the moment, we call them digital economy platforms, that helps you to get the cheapest ever accommodation. Product differentiation. So what is differentiation? I mean, frankly, how you keep the core pipeline of a product or service, same operations, but the physical appearance or the final touch would be a bit different. So for example, if you deliver things and you make sure it has different flavors, so let's say Galaxy chocolate, Galaxy vanilla, Galaxy strawberry, if you have different taste, all of your core processes and the pipeline and the machines and the people's skills, all of them are the same, but the packaging and the final flavor is a bit different. So frankly, you enable new products or services, greatly change customer convenience and experience without changing a massive amount of your operating costs and operating procedures. Okay, if you think online, Amazon is one of these great examples, from selling books to selling makeups to selling consumer electronics, and they keep doing things with a huge amount of differentiation. In books, they sell comics, they sell history books, they sell different other types of books. So frankly, they keep entering different sub-segments of the market, of the same market maybe, or same group of customers. A third example, focus on market niche, where we just focus on a type of customers who have maybe luxury lifestyle. For example, if you sell Rolex online, not everybody would be interested in Rolex because it's an expensive brand, though it's high quality brand. So this is one of the key examples. If you go online and try to find tailored suit, there are specific Italian brands that you can deal online. You send them your measures, or sometimes you can book somebody to come from Italy and come and take your measures, which is still specific market niche for business people who fancy Italian style. Porsche, different top brands who target market niche, specific type of market segments, who have a specific purchasing power and a specific taste of things. Customer intimacy. Now there is another strategy where you just focus and listen on what customers needs, and you increase the switching cost for them. So you become very loyal to your customers, like iPhone. You do things for them, you keep doing your market strategy, your market research around customers' preferences, how you satisfy them much better than Samsung and other competitors. So you create this huge switching cost because you set all of your operations about them for them. If they quit, if they leave you, you will lose all of your business. A good example of this is Amazon as well. So I'm going to talk to you about other examples of strategies. These are extra examples. Alliance strategies, for example, how Walmart and Procter & Gamble collaborate together for automatic inventory system. How recently I've been involved in a project to develop a simulation for British groceries. Tesco, Morrison's, Lidl, all of these groceries here who operate in England, they need a simulation to manage their supply chain operations, to know when to put things on the shelf, how long would be the life of each product. So this is a sort of alliance strategy where we as a university, another IT developer or vendor, and these stores will work together to develop simulations so we can satisfy customers better. This is an alliance strategy. Promote growth or promotion towards scaling up and scaling wide. Innovation could be, for example, developing Uber. So Uber Connect at the moment helps you to get your vaccine, it helps you to buy your food, to wash your laundry, many things. One of these strategies, which is most of the keys missing from academic literature, is diversification. And another one called a monkey strategy. So I'm going to talk to you about these two now, so it becomes a sort of additional resource for you. Diversification, so for example, when we're spoken about Vodafone and Safaricom, telecoms companies who started to use their own infrastructure and completely shift into a different market, instead of telecommunication into financial service. This is called diversification. So they divert all of their attention and infrastructure towards another market, which is still risky. They lack the experience, though they can invest the maximum capacity of their infrastructure because their telecommunication market is already saturated. So diversification is one of these strategies, which is, or not really highly covered in the academic literature. Guerrilla strategy. This is one of my favorites, where you find what it takes, sort of pragmatic tactics, to achieve competitive advantage. So you have alternative plans, plan A, B, D, C, and every one of them will have small tactics, and you keep updating them. So one of these examples I've been involved in my young age when I started my practical life. I was almost younger than you, a bit like 2 years younger than you, started my university studies, and I wanted to think of, okay, can I do a sort of plastic tools for home appliances, washing tools and ironing tools and all of these plastic tools that any household would really need to do their cleaning activities. So I decided to have my small factory and at home, and suddenly I found these big brands around me in Cairo, in capital city of Egypt, and the only way to move around it, because whatever I do, it was customized, it matches the local taste with colors, with shape, with specifications, though my price was almost triple price, because these big competitors deliver in a mass production standardized products, and they do things far much cheaper. They have the machinery, they have the labor, everything out there. So the only way I could do this is to go far away in Upper Egypt, in the south, to find new markets and sell with a high price and keep selling with almost cost price in Cairo. So in the capital city, I wasn't losing money, but I was just selling with no profit, which was actually a little bit less than the price the other competitors sell with, and I could achieve a skimming profit in the new markets, and then I could cover this or zero benefit that I achieved in Cairo. And then I could grow up, and then later on, after 2 years, I sold out my business because I thought lots of other people started to replicate what I do, and I like to always take the skimming profit and then quit and go somewhere else. But this is me. So it was a sort of, gross cost leadership, and then differentiation in a different market and alliance, and I keep doing a mix of guerrilla tactics, actually. If you want to read much more about types of strategies, this is a list where you can read about how these things could be defined. So feel free to go and visit the core readings or read this table, which will help you to think about a strategy. Strategy and competitive advantage I mean, these topics are quite interesting for you. You might use them in your own infographic later on. So, we're still in lecture 8 and we covered 2 elements. The first element we spoken about, what is competitive advantage, especially in digital business. Definitely it's different than physical business. And we've spoken about 3 types of competitive advantage. And 2 of these competitive advantage types require analytics softwares. So we've spoken about this. And then we moved to understand what is strategy. These well articulated activities for the long run to build a plan. Are we doing strategy for 5-10 years, or the best strategy is no strategy and make things like small tactics and guerrilla style? We've spoken about different types of strategies. Now, the third one, which is the highest level so far since we started our lectures, and I don't want you to take this as sort of heavy stuff. I'm going to show you some simple models that you can use to structure your ideas. So models means a sort of a mix. Each model represents a mix of concepts or terminologies that once you link these things together, you will understand how digital business strategy would succeed and how a digital business would succeed in general. I'm not talking about old or new models, though some of these old models are still valid until now. So here we go. I'm going to talk to you about Levitt model, which is a sort of 4-element diamond model. Pettigrew model. Andrew Pettigrew is quite a famous British scholar talking about change management and how you manage things quite successfully. Lewin and Shine model, Porter competitive forces model, Porter's value chain model, and I guess you've been familiar, maybe you studied this before in previous modules, but if you didn't, I guess you will study this as you go in other marketing modules, in strategic management modules, or any modules that you will study. Michael Porter is one of these scholars who have massive corporate experience, so this is why I'm recalling 2 of his models. So let's start, for example, about Formula 1. So I'm going to take Formula 1 as an example of the first model, which is Levitt model. So Levitt model includes 4 elements. Let's think first together. Now, I want you to think of Formula 1 car. I'm trying to organize a Formula 1 event, as this is a smart car which has lots of technologies on it. We'll link it to sort of virtual reality lenses and glasses for kids and middle-aged people and young-aged people at home. They will feel they are driving these cars themselves. I will host a sort of campaign, how to bet and how each one can even put some money and do gambling. It could be a sort of digital business campaign, a big one. So if we think about this first element, is it a technology? Yes, it's an advanced smart technology. It could be autonomous. No, it could have a driver. It's quite linked with virtual reality. It has websites that tells you about these events, how you track them, how the fans can buy different things. You can see here, for example, the t-shirts have commercials, the car has different types of commercials out there. It's a massive business. So let's think about technology. Yes, at least it's a car. It's tiny. So in terms of design, it has this slim front, so it has less air resistance. The tail has a specific shape. The wheels have specific shapes. The body is the same. So if we think about technology, we can take a lower level, which is just the car and the design, the smart design of the car, or we can take technology into higher level. We can say it's a website with a massive campaign, with with mobile app, so fans can follow up and buy t-shirts and buy other things related to Formula 1 and make gambling, make other things. So it depends how you want to take this first element, technology. Now you think of the task. So what is the task of this? Are we taking this as a sport? If I apply this in United Arab Emirates, for example, this is more a sort of tourism. It's a big event, not just a sport, where they promote their own Gulf culture and buy and sell other local indigenous products and interesting services, so you get to know more about Emirates and the Gulf people. So the task is another element that Levitt spoken about. Which task are we taking? Are we talking about lower level task or top level task? In this case, we need to think about the technology. Are we talking about lower level technology or high tech? A massive platform. People. So people, these people, this driver, for example, if we think of this as sport, then we only consider this as a racing activity, and it is based mainly on the driver. He might require some engineering experience to read the numerics. He might need, will definitely need driving experience, and maybe some engineers, other engineers, maintenance people who can fix the car in case of any broke happen. So if we think about people, we need to match it with the technology. If somebody who is a giant cannot really drive a tiny car like this, we need technicians who are quite familiar with this type of fast speed or high speed cars. So we've spoken about three elements here, and we need to match them together. The task, which based on it, we need to define the technologies that we use and the type of people who have experience with this technology. And the fourth element would be a sort of how to manage this. So how would you require a team to work together? If you think of this as sport, so you need a team of sponsors, marketing people, trainers, somebody to do with sport. And the way they work, it will be cross-functional team. If we are talking about it as a sort of tourism, we need far more than just a cross-functional team. No, we need a massive global team who would help people will recruit people from overseas, will manage immigration, will manage travel, trips, hotels. It's a massive thing. And again, the technology would fit differently. So 4 elements, I'm going to show you how easy it is to put examples and fit them into these 4 elements of the diamond. So first, as you can see, Marlboro base, and these statistics are a bit old, I didn't really update them, but in around 2010 we had these numbers, 20 million American dollars against these commercials on the suits, on the driver suits, and on the cars themselves, because they have a bigger space, $66 million. Fiat, Vodafone, and Shell, millions and millions of American dollars, as you can see. So the budget again in 2016 was around 330 millions. Amazing business, big business. It's not just racing. So 4 elements that you need to think of. What is the structure, and then what is the task, and then what is the structure that you would follow with the task, how you manage people, are you working across institutions, across countries, or just a cross-functional team, the people, what type of skills they have so they can use the right technology, what sort of technologies that we need to deliver this task. If you didn't consider these 4 elements together when you change the digital business model or implement a new digital business, this means you will have a gap, a break in this diamond. Okay? So you need to keep these elements and you consider them as you go. Okay, I'm not gonna discuss this again in more details because this is just the answer here, which is already available in the slides and I spoken about it. So another model, which is Pettigrew model, Andrew Pettigrew model, and his model for managing the change. He argues, for example, a company like Hire. Some of you might not know Hire, which is a surprise actually. Hire is the biggest consumer electronic corporation in the world. It's mainly Chinese. Chinese people will definitely know it, but they do TVs, fridges, they do almost everything now, and they're almost doing electrical vehicles for grocery delivery. If you think about this company, based on narratives, what happened after the tsunami and after the big destruction of the country out there, and suddenly the founder being back trying to find different pieces of a fridge, and he started to make his own imaginative fridge, his own style of a fridge. And he invited people from his community and he said, okay, let's go to the factory, find whatever is there and try to start something in our own way. So he's been trying to explore the contents that he has in terms of the people skills and the spare parts and the materials that he found out. The context at that time, it was after a disaster. Those he wanted to stand up again as a nation and as a corporation and think how they can improve the inner context in terms of having this companionship and collaboration internally and be competitive externally, how they enhance and invest on their cheap labor cost and deliver mass production. And in doing so, they started to develop more total quality management and just-in-time approaches and other things. So Andrew Pettigrew assumes that whenever you change or implement something new, you need to think of the contents in terms of the resources that you have, the processes that you follow to adapt to the context, whether it is inner national or company's level culture or outer, which is the external environment, including economic, social, political, and cultural environment around you. So we're still in the third part of lecture 8, trying to see if somebody already studied digital business strategies and how to make sure it is successful. We had Levitt model, and Levitt assumes that when you try to deliver a digital business strategy, you either think of these 4 elements and align them together or you lose. Andrew Pettigrew, he believes in 3 elements, content, process, and context, and we have Hire as an example. Another example, you think of M-Pesa that we've been talking about. Disenfranchised people, they been looking for new things, and Vodafone Group, and I was part of the team, so we've been looking for the contents, the infrastructure that we had, and we simply tried to rely on the informatics side of telecommunication, and instead of putting telecommunication data, we used financial value, monetary value as another informatics. It's a type of data, but instead of airtime data, we have financial data. So in terms of the processes, we delivered something new using different technologies. The context was money sharks and tough competition internally and externally. We were the first people to deliver such a platform in a country where next to the country there was a national war around Somalia and other countries who've been suffering from this problem. So if you go back to the model, yes, we had different contents, we created different processes, and we had to consider the context either inner, the culture, internally and externally. The third model that I'm going to talk to you about is a very easy-going model called the Lowenstein model, where these two authors believe that once you analyze a situation, you try to unfreeze what's going on and try to have a sort of factor analysis, try to identify the rationale, the reason for failure, and then propose a change. But the most important element here is that to make sure you have strategy and foresight analysis on how to rephrase the situation and make sure it will sustain and continue. If you think about this crisis that Steve Jobs faced when he been founding Apple, he even got a big loan from Bill Gates. And then after stepping down from being the CEO of Apple, he came back again with interesting ideas about Apple and the concept of Apple, and we all know about the concept of Apple. And then he changed all the procedures, not just the software, but the concept behind a platform of Apple. And then he rephrased the situation, and then most of his latest innovative products are still using same routines. The change he proposed, he made Apple is the biggest small business ever. So this is his concept, is to make sort of project based for every product or every handset or every device that he creates. There is a team behind it as a small business. And then he made sure his legend is there, and all the procedures and protocols and regulations are rephrased, so success would continue. I'm just trying to show you how I would apply these 3 steps in the narratives. All these models will help you to build a sort of structure, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3 sections when you discuss things or when you think about digital business. The fourth model that I'm going to talk to you about is competitive forces model, again by Michael Porter, who believes that we have key 5 forces when we do digital business. And same, I mean, his assumption started from a physical business, but again in 2010 he's been claiming this for digital business. And I would agree, honestly, from my consultants' experience, that we always have suppliers and customers and substitutes and products or services substitutes. So if we deliver something really expensive, there's always a switch, and they will quit from our platform and use another platform. And we had this interesting example when Facebook started to breach the privacy protocols and a sort of common sense privacy protocols, and then we started to quit and move to another Signal platform and other platforms. New market entrants, these people who will come and try to imitate and copy with more creative ideas, and the competitors in the middle. So these are the top 5 forces. If you think of your own example, you will find lots of these forces that apply to any digital business. The 5th framework or model is the value chain model. Michael Porter again assumes that whether physical business or digital business, you always have this chain starting from where you find your products or services until you reach to the end customers. And each of these stages you add value. The firm internally, they would do production and operation procedures and marketing, so they can distribute things to customers. So when it comes to the firm procedures, the internal procedures, we have, Michael Porter called it supportive activities and the primary activities. He thinks that first, inbound logistics, so the purchasing team, for example, how they would deal with suppliers, how they manage the inventory, this is all inbound logistics. And then the operations, where they produce the things, the service or the product. Sales and marketing, how they promote and price these things and spread the word about it. after sales service, outbound logistics, which is automated shipping, scheduling for returns and other things. All of this is the firm's internal activities. So primary activities, and for across all of these primary activities you will definitely need technology, human resources to do this, administrative procedures, procurement and timetabling and scheduling procedures, which could be computerized. All of this would require systems, digital systems. So when you develop a digital system, you need to consider this. If you are as a firm in between, you will need to use your digital business platform to set primary activities and supporting activities in a good way, so you can deliver a better value chain for distributors and customers. When it comes, for example, one of these projects I was excited to work on is in music. So think of what was the normal chain of delivering music or building music. Big publishers do campaigns and they start to make auditions and recruiting talented people, and then they start doing the production and then marketing and sales. It was overwhelming, lengthy procedure, as you see in the middle here. So once we built a digital platform like a mobile app, so talented people can go and upload their single songs and any play or music play, they might be able to find interested customers to buy this. So you can cut the stages in between and make a shorter value chain. Whenever you use a digital business platform to make a shorter value chain with a higher value, this means you are more competitive. So this is another way, which is, you can use to build your digital business strategy or express the success of a digital business strategy. So we've been through Levitt model, we had Learn and Shine model, Andrew Pettigrew's model, the change management, value chain, and Michael Porter competitive advantage forces model, the 5 forces model. I urge you guys, go ahead and read more about these from the core book, or just to go and find your own favorite readings, and we would love to see how this is reflected in your performance when it comes to the infographics and the selection of your cases and other things. Okay, this is my own analysis of the value chain for the music industry. You go and read about telco, and you will get to know. SoundCloud is same example as well, where it shortens the value chain. Thank you for listening. I wish you enjoyed this week's lectures. We had lecture 7 and now lecture 8, which includes 3 sections. Stay in touch and please stay safe. You have a good day.